Okay, guys, I'm going to be going live here. So let's get going. I had some time to do a quick live stream. And let me start out by saying, like always, this isn't financial advice. You guys always have to do what's best for you. Just use this for your education and entertainment purposes only. And let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see here. Let me get my video rolling here. Okay, so let's open it up. So while people join, I'll just kind of recap the market at this point, what I think is going on. So we had some key technicals break to the bearish side last week. We saw that warning sign on the NVIDIA earnings and was able to get out and get that bounce for a lot of, really quick, easy profit. And now I really want to play it on the sidelines. The Dow Jones, as you can see, it came up against this trend line and it found support here. You could label this as 5 waves down, right? This is one way of labeling the Dow right now. So if we have 5 waves, that means we should get another 5 down. So we should at least see one more move lower. So we could see some more upside next week as this B wave finishes, and then we get a catastrophic sell-off because we don't know what the C is going to entail when it happens. In let's just say, we come back up to the wave 4 target and we drop. We should see somewhere around 33,100. So that's about, if we look at where we are, about 1,200 points lower from here. If we were to come down to this 32,100 area, then we're looking at a bearish extension. And we really don't want to see this low break here at 31.5 because then I think that absolutely will confirm the next leg of the bear market is in. So what's the strategy? I think it's looking for short plays on these bounces now. You're not really looking to buy the dip anymore until this final leg is done. So looking for if we can get more of a bounce next week, looking to see where we could go short. It's been a long time since I've had to say that, but that's the new way of looking at this market. And then here is the bounce area that we could see either continuation higher to this extreme target, which I don't actually think is as likely anymore with the break of this downtrend line. But anyway, we should bounce here just like we did, and then at that point, who knows? But if we do kind of come down through this area, then I wouldn't try to play the bounce at all. I would be, again, just either holding my short I would already have or just sidelines. But I would like to buy the dip if we can get a lot of choppiness and we come close to the end of September and we're down at the top of this box. So that's how I think I look at the market right now. So I do see this 5-wave move. The other thing in the Dow Jones you want to keep an eye on is the weekly RSI. Looks like it broke here or is about to. Let's take a look. I was looking at this the other day and we just broke through it. It's really hard to see, but we did. Every time we have broken the RSI channels since the start of this bear market, it always is confirmed a massive trend change. It's never, that signal has never failed. So this will allow me to believe the weekly cycle is over, not the daily cycle, but the weekly cycle. So this weekly stochastic is going to need to come all the way down, all the way down. So there's more downside, I believe, in this market now, despite a lot of hope out there. So I don't know what's going to cause the sell-off, but I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for higher rates, hot inflation, earnings that could disappoint. So a lot of things. So that's kind of how I look at this. So I'm showing a more bearish setup here. This is the classic bearish setup. The SPY is also shown here in the bearish setup, the 327. We're going to probably come back and test this downtrend line, this black line, And of course, once we break it, that's 400. Then I think it's pretty much certain the floodgates will open. But we should see a bounce somewhere between 417 and 400 in the next 30 days, somewhere around 30 to 45 days. But right now, you should be expecting a lot of choppiness in the market. So this could be a three-wave move and a WXY correction here like this, and we could even still be in X. If we could come up higher and break this high, then it sets up a great short opportunity, which would be a three-wave move to the upside here at 447.19. So keep an eye on that if we decide to spike, next week into this area. The good thing for the bulls, if this happens, then what I'm seeing is probably a corrective structure, and then this should stay supported, and I think it will delay this super crash, and we could extend higher toward the end of the year. So that would be what we want to see. If we don't get this bounce and it's finished and we start selling off next week, that would be very bearish. It could easily turn into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll continue lower. So that's kind of the setup. So I'm really like on the sidelines, and if we come up here, short it, and if we start to drop and we really accelerate, you could try to gain, get on the momentum lower into this area. But this will be a very interesting week next week, and how this market decides to either start the final leg of the bear market, or just finish a correction in the next 30 days for more upside as X continues, and then this could easily turn into another three-wave move like that. And then it comes later. So the bears have to respect this possibility as well. So just keep that in mind. But there's indices like the Dow and the Russell that show that won't happen, because there's very little downside opportunity left before it breaks its October lows, and then it could open up the floodgates. So it seems like the cyclical, financial, regional banks, all that shit is in a lot of trouble right now. Is gonna be, and it may not be. The technology obviously has a lot of gave the indices a lot of buffer here, where the Nasdaq may not even make a new low. But I do think there's a pretty nasty sell-off on the horizon now that we saw these technicals break bearish, and clearly Nvidia's topped. I don't see it taking that high out anytime soon that it made. So that's kind of the market overall. So I do think more downsides come in, and if we can get like a three-wave rip higher, short opportunities. If not, I'll just kind of stay on the sidelines and let this traders destroy each other here, which is really what was happening on Friday, where a lot of day traders lost a lot of money. I was watching tweets because there's no direction in the market, just a lot of volatility, and that's what bear markets do. They destroy you unless you can scalp that. So only if you're scalping those day trades, you can actually survive like a Friday, like what happened on Friday, because the market really wasn't trending, and it may not trend for a while into like early September before we start the next leg lower. So just next week could be a lot of brutal chop. In your strategy may want to be a scalping if you have to trade. And I know some people have to trade every day for some reason. I don't do that. I just trade when the conditions are right. So then that's the market overview that I'm looking at. Let me see if there's anything else I'd like to mention at this point, and then I'll just go to your Q&A. I think that's good for now. And yeah, I just just kind of looking at this bigger picture. Again, unorthodox bottom, no capitulation, sets us up for a nasty sell-off. Yeah, I think that's the last thing I'd like to show. I go back to the daily on the Dow here. as you can see, we had this consolidation, a false breakout, and now we're back, getting rejected. Very bearish here, as you can see on the RSI. We did peak, we did bottom with no divergence, so it did seem like this could be a hard low, and people got excited. But one of the analogs that you want to pay attention to is the 1987 Dow, and I've showed this before that we needed that pop higher to complete the analog, and I believe now we have that. So you got to respect the downside scenarios, because if you don't, you could get in a lot of trouble here. So here, let's take a look at the analog that we had here. Back in the day, 1987, we dropped here. We had divergence erased, kind of in an unorthodox bottom, just like we saw earlier. And then we had this consolidation area. We popped up and failed, and then all hell broke loose. And then we actually took that out, like way, all the way to 10. So you got to respect the bear case. Now that breakout failed, you have to respect that this could play out. Just keep that in mind. I'm not saying it's going to do something like this, but this looks very similar to what I just showed you. Take a look at this pattern, and then if I go to our present time here, and go to the future here, you can see the same kind of setup, but even on a bigger scale. Again, you had this like unorthodox bottom. You still erase divergence. You come out of a consolidation, and now you're back in it, and you're hanging off the edge of a cliff. Okay? You're hanging off an edge. What is the future going to be? We don't know, but you need to respect the downside. Could this do the same thing all the way to 10? Take this out. It could easily do that. So you got to respect this bear case. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to buy the dip, or you're so bullish at the moment. I would wait for better conditions. But I do think this could be the pattern, and then we come up higher next week, and then a massive situation could develop. It could be a catastrophe even. We don't know, but you just need to be careful. And of course, the more bearish setup was a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, right? Can't rule that out. You can't rule out this, right? You could still have this 1-2, 1-2, run 2. You could still have that. There's just too many possibilities. I think when you look at the RSI, you could see the cycle broke on 5 here, and then we're making a new high. So this could be a flat, an A, B, C, so that's why I still think we could be in 2. Okay, now let's go to your questions. And like I said before, if you want your question answered, if you give me a super chat, I go right to it. I'm only going to answer 3 symbols for people to give everyone a chance, so don't try to list like 10 different things. I won't answer it. I'll answer just your first 3, and then we'll just kind of go from there and see how things go. And I'll just usually go from the order they come in. All right, yeah, hey guys. German, INJ, and ORAI. So since the rest of my market forecast is a little bit bearish, I still think there's a bounce and failure in crypto coming. And in fact, the bounce may already have happened. I didn't really show the Bitcoin chart earlier. Let's see what we have here. So INJ is still in this accumulation area. It's defended it really well. So as you can see, it needs to hold 661. It has to hold that area. If not, it could create a whole nother swing lower to retest this low at 548. We also know that this could be an impulse off that low here in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but you don't have divergence. This could fool a lot of Elliott wave guys here, because they would label this 5, but the divergence doesn't confirm it. It only shows 3. So this could be a reactionary move up. And so therefore I don't like trading it. And knowing that I think there's more downside coming, what I would look at potentially is a pop up and drop. Something like one more swing higher, um, like this, and then a drop to retest this low at 530. And this kind of mirrors what I think Bitcoin's going to do. So I would be looking for something like this, and then a drop. But it's so many it's so difficult to predict this in between phase here. So I would just kind of stay away from it. But I do think it's, as long as it's above $666 and 65 cents, it could still continue higher. But I think it's at a very important decision point. If it were to lose that pivot here, it could drop pretty rapidly. So tough one. It wants to reverse out of here, as you can see. So that's why I think it will play this pattern out like I have it here, and then take another leg lower later. Okay, is kind of how I see this. But do what's best for you. And then ORAI tokens. I don't think we've ever done that one. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So it's trying to form this reversal pattern out. It really needs to hold this low at 90 cents. If you look, you've already broke the connector. It looks like more downside's going to be needed in this. You haven't erased divergence yet in this corrective move. So I think I wouldn't recommend the long side of it. It looks like to me it still has more downside potential. Yeah, it's not a good chart. It's probably going to break the low here, this low, because there's just no more room. And so to me, this is not a good situation for this coin. So this looks like some kind of corrective structure that finished a massive sideways consolidation here. Yeah, see, and there, that's probably your W. You had your W here in X, and now you're in this Y wave. If it could even, so it kind of has to me a look and feel of a go to zero chart, and that's my kind of unbiased opinion on it. But you guys can do what's best for you on that. And now it needs another swing lower, and it needs to erase divergence and break this low and still not go to zero. So good luck on that one. Okay, we'll just kind of keep going. Anonymous, thanks for 5. So like I showed you, Mara was looking for more downside, right? And ideally you wanted a bounce here, this X here. It is trying to bounce here. If you look, this has been uncorrected this whole entire series. It looks like 5 waves to me down. Yeah, with divergence. I think there's a bounce coming, guys, next week in this. I mean, the dollar's got to go down, right? So the dollar's been pumping, right? The dollar's pumping. The dollar has to drop and correct. So this should allow the crypto to rise. But I believe it will fail and come down to where I have it right here at $7. I have it coming to 7, Mara, 732. That's too low. $5 is too low. But I have it coming to like 7. So I do think this is the kind of the opportunity in Mara, and you should have been buying it Friday if you were really courageous, because it didn't seem, everything seemed like it was ready to crash, but I think it was just traders, finishing a wave five. So and that's like one, two, three, four, five, one, and that's your fifth wave, and you had your bullish divergence. Now, the problem with this X wave is it only really has to retrace back to the 4, so it may only make it back up to $12. It may not come up into these areas I'm showing. And then once this is finished, then you can find your target area. But this is what I think Mara is going to do. You should wait for this downtrend line to break, right? So this is the setup in Mara, and like I said, should have been buying it Friday if you really were like really waiting, because that's what this says to do. My system, and then the dollar index. I mentioned this before, guys. This dollar index, if I can find where I have it here. I think I had my stuff get all resorted on me. There it is. Okay. The dollar index needs to correct this move. Okay. On the on the daily. See, the daily is going to correct the cycle. That should allow crypto higher, but I think it's going to fail, right? It's going to do something like this. That should be bullish for the crypto when that happens. And really that could happen soon. And then Bitcoin here, what I'm thinking with Bitcoin's forecast here looks, it could do 5 waves and then rally. I mean, that's possible. I was still waiting for this potentially, and then bounce, and then fail one more time. 21,000, something like that. The other possibility is it's already in the bounce. Okay, something like this. And this will go a little lower, 20,000. And then this would be like a WXY. We don't know. No one's, no one knows which one it is. So do what's best for you. But I think there's more about, because of the dollar needing some more weakness soon, this should push this up a little bit more. We'll see for 10. Thanks for that. AN and GS. Okay, let's take a look at those and see what you guys got here for that. Let's see. AutoNation and gas. Okay, let's take a look. AutoNation. I think this is one of the grand supercycle top ones here. Let's take a look. Okay, so I've shown these charts many times before. These parabolic moves, right? I mean, we look at this, and you got to ask yourself, could it be that, or could it already be done? So we have to look at the divergences and see in a minute. But here's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this 3 could be here, 4, and 5. Now, what's it going to keep doing? Just is going to keep going. I mean, you can't go that way. So it's almost it's so parabolic. It doesn't have the energy anymore and the enthusiasm to keep it going any longer. Especially look at that candle. That's a pretty bad candle on the monthly. If it closes like, oh, so that was actually last month's candle. If we get this confirmation here of a red candle, that would be a big reversal signal. So, all right, let's look at the RSIs and see if we can learn where we are with it. So a lot of bearish divergence there, but that's not helpful. Let's go to a different time frame, quarterly. Here you do have a little bit of bearish divergence on that quarterly, a little bit. Let's go to the monthly. A lot. Let's look at the shorter cycle at the top. Quite a bit here and here. How about the 4-hour? Same thing. So I think the key to understanding where this is trying to understand the shorter cycle and where we are. So that's clearly the first wave down. 1, 2. All right, and then we had an overlap in 1, 2 here. And then you had your wave 3. So there's the 2 cycle. There's your 4 cycle, and you just ended this cycle here at this peak. It's like that. So it has one more high. So would I short it here? I would be careful because it looks like to me you need one more high. Then it's that should do it. Now typically the wave 4 will retrace to the 618. So let's see where that goes. It could come all now. So it could come back down to this cluster. So it could come back down to 113 into this area that I have highlighted. So don't get me wrong. It seems like there's more downside needed here. Let's look at the stochastic and how. Yeah, see this probably needs to come all the way down. So this whole cycle from here, more than likely, this has to come all the way down to oversold on the weekly time frame. In the monthly, stochastic should also break this trend line. We should come back down here. So yeah, so it's got more downside coming, I think. And this is just sideways action right now. This is just a sideways chop. It can do anything in the middle area here. So that gets you to 129. So once you take this low out here at 149, that should open up more downside to this area. And if you look at this wave 4, look how long this wave 2 took. 97 to 08, almost a decade. So this wave 4 could go on for years and years and years. It could be sideways action in a, but remember, wave 4s can be triangles too, right? So what if this turns into a massive triangle? It's dead money for a long time. So I think it's gonna, it could be something quite like that. So yeah, you're short, but you're just kind of getting chopped up to death. But anyway, do what's best for you on that. Thanks for the 10, man. Let's see, guess. Let's see. See, no capitulation at these lows. So this is really just not a good bottom. Let's look at the weekly. Now the weekly looks better. All right, so we'll call that the final low of this cycle with divergence at the top. All right, so that's good if you're like, a long-term investor in it. So that's good. So now you're in a new bear market. That could take quite a while. Divergence at the top. Okay, so now you have another one too. No divergence. Okay, to me, it's weird. It looks like a reversal ready to happen. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know this I don't follow this company. Like I don't know if they've like revamped things, but it actually looks bullish, man. I wouldn't short this. I have no idea why it would be bullish, but you have RSI channel breaking upward now. Maybe it's bullish in the short term. Maybe it's gonna do something like that and come back down later. But this pattern can be really powerful. And I don't. If you look at the monthly, the stochastic is opened up to the upside, and we also broke that downtrend line on the RSI here. So see, the last time you did that, look at what the price action did here. So I mean, you guys gotta do what's best for you. I would find something else to short. I look at this and I see something more bullish. Now let's go into the shorter time frames and just see if this what this looks like. So okay, so this is a good bottom here. Well, all right, so that's what it's going to do. It's going to have a false breakout and reverse down. So it's hard to see this, but I do think it's in another 1-2, and it's going to come back down. But I think what it will do is do something like this. Something like that. And then this is something like that. I bet that's what it's going to do. So yeah, I think trying to time the top is going to be really difficult because I think the way this pattern needs is a 5 swing pattern with this kind of expanded flat bottom. That will get you to this area. So you almost hit it. Uh, Yeah, to me that's what I would be looking. So I'd be looking for like one more pop higher, just one more high, and then with some bearish divergence on the 45 minute and maybe even the 4 hour, and then that should do it. And then it should trickle down all the way back. But I think it will respect this low at 14. I don't think that low is going to break, but I could be wrong. But I think this is kind of the pattern. And yeah, I mean potentially that would be your 3 swing pattern. In let me zoom in. So yeah, you never took that high here. You know, maybe there's price action missing in trading view that we did, and then it's finished. So yeah, it's really tough to time your entry on your short here. But because of the way we bottomed, it seems pretty likely, yeah, it will come back down. Like it's going to do something like you saw here. You see that one? It's going to have some kind of drop like that. Cool. Oh, thanks, man, for the $10. Big Nick. All right, so let's see. I think we got the super chats covered. Let's just keep going with the questions. XES, let's see what that one is doing. Oh, oil and gas. I think oil and gas are going to correct a cycle. So this is kind of a very bullish interpretation, right? Once a lot of 1-2s. Uh, as long as this cycle holds, you can continue with the 1-2 count. But if we break it, then it's game over for energy. So until then, I just look for this setup, and to me, it just like I was saying earlier, it's for other things, it looks like this cycle's over, and it needs to come back down. So I think in the short term, it's coming back. Maybe I'll drop to 79, 78, and then hopefully we'll get some nice upside in the energy market when that plays out more. You could kind of see the cycle end in here. It just broke the downtrend line. So I believe there's more downside coming, but you do need to be aware. A lot of times these 1-2, 1-2 setups like this fail, and then it becomes like a one. It becomes like a 5-wave move, and it has a much deeper retrace. So you'll have to figure that out. I'm not in energy. I don't like trading it, but at the moment on the short term, but do what's best for you. Also, if you look at oil, when I'm looking at oil, one of the things I don't like is, again, we could see this a little bit higher, but if X is done in a 3-wave move, which it can easily be, then there's much more downside coming in oil, deflationary. Maybe there is a recession that people are scared of will happen. That will put all the oil stocks. So we got to let this play out more. And when this happens, yeah, oil stocks will be a buy again. But I don't like chasing this last bit of upside. And in fact, I think some of that upside is over. So that's kind of what I look at there on that stock. But I don't be surprised if the correction goes even deeper than what I showed there. But I don't like trading energy at the moment. TK, let's see TK. Okay, let's see. Looks like an impulse up. You broke the high. You had an impulse here. Really interesting chart, but then you come back and break the low. So it's got to be some crazy corrective structure. Yeah, I mean, something like that. And then you have another, maybe it's better to label it this way. Yeah, label it that way. And now you need an impulse down, right? Because this is just some big flat correction. So that's probably your wave 3 low right there. Something like that. A, B, C, D, E, maybe that right there. Yep, that lines up there. And then 1, 2. There. Could it be that or tough call? Let's see the RSI trend line. Oh, it's clearly broken the cycle. So yeah, so this cycle should be over here, right there. All right, so it's in a new bull cycle. You have to assume that it's finished, and we should be done 5, right? That looks like 5 waves up right there. Let's look for the divergence, and you have it. All right, so I would be looking for a pullback like we are in the rest of the market at any moment, but then this would be a very viable. So typically it will come back to the wave 4 low at so somewhere down to 478, but it really it just started its down the correction. I mean, it's just starting it. So but it looks like it's got, it's going to have to come down and do something like that. So that's kind of what I think. But I think, yeah, it looks like it should be over at any moment. Here's your 4-hour. All right, so technically it has not ended. You could still be in 5. So keep that in mind. You could still be in 5, but it looks like to me it's over. I mean, it looks like to me this is some kind of end in diagonal. It's over. But anyway, interesting company. What do they do exactly? Let me see. Oh, kind of tankers and stuff like that. Offshore services. Okay. Yeah, I think it should be supported at, it should come back down somewhere around here. I call this the golden area, and then go more upside. Okay, and we'll keep an eye on that one. All right, let's keep going and see. And like I said, if you just joined Super Chat, I'll go right to your question. I stay on for about an hour, and I only really I'm only going to answer like 2 or 3 symbols just to give everyone kind of a chance, but I may not get through everything. Yeah, I think that head and shoulders is going to play out, but I think the right shoulder may develop more next week because we know the dollar is going to go weaken. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some upside enter the market next week for the week after to see the next leg lower. So this could be the short area. So this head and shoulder, this right shoulder may develop a little further. It may not be that. It could do that, but I would be looking to short this area if it comes up here, and then looking for this drop and to play this out. And you can kind of keep doing it, right? And then it creates a new head and shoulders, right? Here's your new left shoulder. So you just kind of keeps playing it out, but we'll see. But this drop's going to define the bear market or not when this happens, and what exactly will cause it. So let's see. Take a look at Roku. So Roku is somewhat at the mercy of the Russell index in technology. They're both correcting. The Russell, this is very ugly. This looks like some massive bearish consolidation continuation pattern for lower. If this happens, you would actually think Roku will come back and retest those lows. And technology is also forecast to go lower. So I do think Roku has more downside come in here. So we do have a divergence at this peak. So that's good. So to me, just kind of looking at it, let's go to the daily. You still have divergence. So to me, it looks like it's some kind of 1-2 here, and then a 3, 4, 5. I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back to 56 between the 4 and the 2, right? And I mentioned that before. When you have some of these overlapping waves. So just it's got more downside. I think of course this is congested area. This could be a bounce area. Was it never really bounced yet? Yeah, I mean this connector could be done right here. See, and that gets you to this area. I wouldn't be surprised to see more bounce, but the RSI is saying otherwise. So this is the area that I have it going to somewhere, and that lines up with the where I would expect it, and then the long-term trend line. So there's a confluence of support right here. So this would be probably where it goes, but because of the nature of the wave coming up in 5, chances are it at least has one more swing higher before lower. Or again, it could come up in 3 and fail because it could still be a corrective bounce, right? You have to respect the bearish case. It could still be a corrective bounce, and then essentially it goes bankrupt after that bounce. So I don't think it. You have to take that, roll that dice. But I do think since it's got this impulsive nature on the way up, it seems like it's gonna hold this low at 38. The only way you would say something otherwise is you put the 2 here, and then you call this an A, B, C, and then you're saying it's going bankrupt. It's out of the market. That's the end of Roku. But I think this is a more realistic forecast. So this is where I'm thinking it's heading. Okay, Kenny, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. NG and NG and in general, 2 stocks I'm looking at are TEL and MCF. Okay, let's see here. TEL and MCF. I assume the Canadian. Looks like we've looked at this before. It's sitting in our buy area. It's hanging by a thread. As long as it respects that low here, I mean, because this is a flat, you want to see it end with bullish divergence, right? So let's see. You could say that cycle's over. Yeah, so I'm not going to change our chart because we've had this. I've already studied it, so it should come out of it. But here's the thing: if it breaks that pivot here at 93 cents, then this chart's invalidated, and then it's the bear case. We did break that high. It looks like another expanded flat. $1.02. It looks like it just missed it. It needs to finish in 5 off this flat here. See, I just don't see the 4 wave, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's go. I think it has one more low. If it could hold this bullish structure. $1.02. That's what I'd be looking for. But I mean, if it could break the channel completely out, then it's probably done. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And again, it has to hold this on 94 cents. So that's kind of TEL. And then MCF, let's see here. That looks like 3 waves down, but with divergence here. So it looked like 3, but the RSI is indicating it's 5 down. Some kind of 5-wave sequence. I mean, could it be a run? I mean, it could be a run in flat. You did buy. Well, let's look at the weekly. Let's see. It's not a lot of chart data to help us. Yeah, I mean, it could this one I don't have. I just there's too many. It could be a run in some kind of run in flat here, and it's done, ready to come out of that pattern. That's one interpretation. The other is it's topped in some kind of and then it needs it finished A. It'll bounce and come back like that. But see this bounce, it's already been extreme. So this bounce may already be that if that's all you can get out of this type of drop, then it's essentially a go to zero. So I don't know. It's tough to interpret this one. Because there's just not a lot of data supporting it. So I would probably stay away from it if I was trading it. It's just too difficult. Or if I was trading it, I'd take a long position but have a stop at like 20 cents. I would put a stop loss at like 20 cents on a long position on this. But anyway, thanks for the 5, Kenny. Okay, let's keep going, see where I left off on Marvel. Yeah, Marvel, I heard tanked on earnings like pretty much everybody's been doing. Uh, I don't know if anyone's ever asked for Marvel. Let me see. I do want to add that to my list up here. Yeah, I don't think we've ever looked at it. Like most of the market, it didn't really have a good bottom. Maybe you could call it on the monthly. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt on the monthly time frame. So you did hit the buy area here, and then it came out of it. It looks like to me it's a 5-wave move down of some kind. Yeah, something like that. Well, that doesn't look right either. We'll have to go with something like this. So it looks like to me it's like a 5-wave move, um, but I don't like that. So yeah, we will go back to what we had, WXY. So we hit our sell area right here. That'd be the short area, and that's playing out perfectly. So this looks like your A. Depends where we want to put B. I would probably put it here, and then we have C. Yeah, you see, it's hard to see the divergence, but it's there. So if you look at the candle, that peak is that green candle, but then the red candle, you did make a higher high with bearish divergence. So it is 5 waves. It's just really tough to see it. So it is a legitimate pattern, and now we should be going down in Y, right? And so, like we saw here, you have three. You're in the first W. You're in the first leg of it. Um, so it should be bouncing in here. So that's the first leg. And then the last leg, the wipeout leg. My guess is this: when this happens, it should take that low out and erase the divergence. Where could it go? 2613. This area is one option, and the other is yeah, even lower, but I don't like that. I think it would be better. This would be a better area. So, looking at it, that's kind of how I look at it. I do think it's got more downside. I don't know how this is going to play out. For all we know, this could continue lower in W and do something, make it a little more symmetrical, but I think it's something like that. And this bottom is not a good bottom to call it finished, you know. But I don't think it's five waves either. I think it's some messy bottom like that. Okay, so I've got a couple more minutes. mRNA, yeah, everyone's trying to buy that now that they're saying COVID's back. COVID's back, so everyone's going to get the vaccine. But what are the technicals going to allow that to happen? So again, it's finding resistance on this massive this line. This has been massive support, but now it's flipped resistance and it got rejected there. Here it got rejected. I do believe it's coming lower. I think it has one more swing lower. I've always wanted it at 85 bucks, and I think that's where it's going. 89 to 80. This is another area. To invalidate this, you would need to come back above into this area. But I think it's going to have a challenging time doing that just from the technicals. So I do think we should see some more downside to this area. And then that has always been my target since November 22. So you guys, if you guys have been following me, you know we called the short here, the top, exactly at the day. Find my live stream. It's in there. Somebody, maybe it was you, asked me it. Short, and it's played out. And I've always called this target. This has been my target for the last year and more on this thing. And that's where I think we're going. But like I always say, I can be wrong. So we'll see how it goes, how this finishes out. But I do think that's kind of the count right now that we're looking for. And do what's best for you. PDD and NEO. So unfortunately, Hang Seng's got more downside. We're really watching how this is going to play out. I was looking for a kind of a full U connector, like where you go like A, B, and rip up and C like this, and then crash. That's looking less likely now. But I do think we should get a bounce in this final leg lower. So there could be a short-term bounce come in and then down. The bounce, could even be over. I mean, that could be it. So I don't want to get your hopes up. So unfortunately, I would say there's more downside coming across all the China stocks, and I believe that doesn't contradict what I was saying was going to happen with NEO, right? We've given that NEO forecast. You guys asked me when it was up at 15, where it was going. Now we're at 10. And I'm still saying we should be heading to $7 area. Now this is getting messy. So to me, this is really where the connector is now. But I think it has a whole nother leg lower. To me, this connector looks like some kind of B-wave triangle that's going to finish up, as you can see here. So I think this looks like an impulse down. and you got some kind of A, B, C, D, E. So perhaps, you can get a little upside in earnings, but then it's going to succumb probably to the rest of the market. So this could be like an A, B, C, D, E, and then wipe out. So that's how so you see what we got going on here. So you got to respect that pattern. And I do believe this is some kind of massive, yeah. Yeah, it's really weird, this little pop here, because let's take a look. We did have, so yeah, so it's actually something like this. Really short Y leg. So again, looking at it, I wouldn't be surprised if I see this pattern get invalidated and the X come up more and then drop. So just this is a mess. This is not something I would be wanting to even guess and trade in what's going to do on earnings. I think in the bigger picture it's going to be lower in the next 45 days, but on earnings it could still develop this right shoulder. See, this pattern, but I do think it's going to be trading down here again, and then let's see a PDD. I was looking at this kind of pattern to get this fifth wave. I'm looking at it, and it did bounce where I wanted it to here. But see, if I look, this is a whole cycle. It's completed here. What I don't like is there's no divergence at this peak anymore. Let's go to the daily. So I think in PDD you got to respect the bearish case, and because we have to look at this and you go, okay, is it 5 waves up? Well, you don't have divergence at the peak, so it's really a 3-wave move. Here's your 3 waves, there's your 3 waves, and there's your 3 waves. So again, I have to see things for what they are, not what I wish them to be. So this is what I see. So if I see that and I know China's going to go lower, I have to respect the fact that it could come back and break 60. You know, you got to be careful if you're in this on the long side. That's all I'm saying. So this also indicates the type of market sell-off we could be about to experience. So yeah, so to me, I'm looking for something like this. So what do I think for earnings? Again, this could do anything, but I think long, bigger picture will be down here. And you have no divergence. So it's probably finished its first W. So maybe again, earnings, it pops a little bit, but then it's got, it's still got some more downside coming. And again, even this could be done here. So I wouldn't like trading it. Now the other alternative is if we can come back and take that high out, which I don't think it will, but if it were to do that, then you get 5 up, and then you'll pull back to 71. So that's why I don't like trading it in earnings, because you could still have this come up to 102 and then drop quickly to 69 and then respect that low at 60. So this is really, there's too many possibilities and it's not a really good setup anymore. So, you're just going to have to figure that out on your own. All right, so I'll just finish up with PBJ and that's it, and then I'm done for the day. Crowd, let's see here, CRW, crowd. I believe that was one that I had on my internet site. Yeah, we called that bottom. Look, Isn't that crazy? We called it like exact. I post this on my Twitter at 92. Boom. And now it looks like an impulse up, and that's a flat. So unfortunately, you're about to enter the world of the flat, which sucks because flats can be pretty vicious on the downside. I believe it's this. Maybe not. Let's see. Maybe it's not that. Yeah, no, it's not that. It's so maybe we won't see the flat after all. But like the rest of the market, it's topped out. It should drop to 130. It's clearly bullish. Look for it at 131, 125. Something like that. So this one's a pretty easy one. All right, what's the next one? You have Link, Link. Is that the token? I'll assume it's you mean the crypto. So it's still consolidating in this area. It did get a bounce when it tagged our buy area here. We got that bounce, but then it failed. So that always can happen. That's why you should always take profit on those bounces. So now we set up another swing lower here, and just like Bitcoin, is it 3 or is it going to turn into 5 waves? It's really tough to say at the moment. But if Bitcoin's going to bounce, this should go lower. This is our ultimate extreme area to buy. We never got there, but perhaps that's where it's heading as we finish this out. So I would just keep an open mind that we could see it at $3.50 at some point because of Bitcoin. I think has a good possibility of going back to 21 or even 20,000. So we could see this bounce and come down like that, right? The other alternative is this ABC that I showed earlier, right? And 5. So tough to say. I don't like the long side anymore in crypto. Even though we could get that short-term rally and because of the dollar weakness, I believe that dollar weakness will fail, and then this will capitulate, and we'll get our final low. So that's how I would trade Link. Okay. So anyway, I'll just scan the comments if I can answer something real quick because I do chart a lot of these. AI is remember it bounced early. It bounced and then it failed because of the market sell-off, that surprise drop. So now it formed a connector, and I said remember it could be a 1-2. It formed a second wave, so I don't like trading it. It could go really deep in its correction now. But I think it's going to respect the low. The ultimate low will hold, but I believe it's going to go deeper in the correction. GoPro, if it can break out of that wedge, it's going to do a really nice move higher. But it's hard to see it breaking out if the Russell's going to be under pressure, which I believe the Russell's under pressure, and most of the stock market will be under pressure for the next 30 to 45 days. And then after that, I think the bears would be out of time, and the market will have a chance to rally. We'll see where the dust settles at that point, where we are. I've been waiting for Octa in the 60s. It's just not get there. So if I'm waiting for this Octa to drop, I'm not buying it where it is. I want it in the low 60s if I can get it. Um, Yeah, Bitcoin's going down, man, Shannon. It's going down. But short term, if you're like a day trader, it can still have some more bounce and upside to 27, 28,000, and then it bridge out. I do expect, like, my guess is next week we get a little bit more upside, and then the week after is when the market really starts to unravel and shit really hits the fan, and Bitcoin will be under a lot of pressure. I'll be surprised if it happens next week, but if you can get a hot PCE report then that will do it. That will be definitely a nail in the coffin for the market if that report comes in hot next week. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, I believe, is in a correction. Uh, and some people are predicting, 17,000 is going to break. Now, the only way I see that breaking is if the SPY is going to break the October lows. So so right now there's two options in the SPY, like I mentioned. You could either get this, we come down to 404, 410, and come up to 510, and then crash, or the crash has already started. So if we get this crash here, then yeah, Bitcoin's probably going to break 17,000 and go to the 12,000, 10,000 targets. But if we could get this kind of correction, then Bitcoin should hold 22,000, and this should bring Bitcoin to new all-time highs. So I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell you which one the path the market's going to take, but what I do know is I believe the market still has more downside. That's all I know. Nvidia's peaked, man. I doubt that top's gonna. I doubt 500 is gonna be taken out again. It's gonna rally, but I believe that's correcting. There's a massive gap in the low 300s, right? That I think all that's gonna fill soon. What would cause it? No idea. Would it be a great buy? Yes, right. It would be, but it's peaked. To me, Nvidia's peaked, and I want to show Nvidia real quick because here's the thing, guys. With Nvidia, you have to respect the grand supercycle possibility that it's all over for Nvidia. Again, a massive parabolic move. I easily can get 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, there's your wave 3. There's your bearish divergence right there on that peak. So that could be it, man. That's it. In other words, it can't. No matter how good it is, it can never be any better. Like it's the best it could ever be. So if that's the case, then it could decline like we've seen previous wave twos. You know, it could decline substantially because it just could never exceed the enthusiasm and the bullishness that it's already set itself up for. This is where I see it, but do what's best for you. And I do believe at least we'll come down to 320. And yeah, maybe it's attempting to buy something here. But we'll see where the Stokes are at 320. But I don't want to touch it here. If for some reason it's people are dumb enough to keep buying it and it comes back up to 500, I mean you could try to short it. I mean I don't buy puts very often, but damn, I think that would be pretty tempting. If for some reason it's just does something silly next week and it decides it wants to come back up like that. I mean, this is saying it's begging to be shorted here, guys. But you guys got to do what's best for you on that. Yeah, I don't have JetBlue. I don't mess with JetBlue. But if the Russell's going down, that should put it under pressure. SBX to 410, see you there. Yeah, I don't know if you're the guy that said that a few weeks ago. So conditions, yeah. So it looks like that's where we're heading. But the sad thing is it could go a lot lower. But we did get that bounce here. This was easy money because, again, getting in here using my system, and then this literally got out right here. So this was just kind of like very easy money. But of course, I won't stay long because I saw the breakdown in the other instruments, and it just is what it is. But I at least got this bounce, and just like we are, when we come down here, we should bounce too. We should bounce, even if we're going to fail, we should bounce again here, just like we did here. So the surprise would be there's no bounce, and we just blow through 400. That would be, I think that would lead to a catastrophe in the market. You call it a market accident, credit event, whatever the hell you want to call it. But it would be, if we break this 400, it's game over. I mean, there's gonna be some panic. You're gonna see the yelling and screaming at TV, and the Fed knows nothing, and screw Biden, screw Trump. Everyone's going to be fighting. It's going to be something, because that's how these things typically end, with yelling and screaming on TV, markets in turmoil. Someone needs to be blamed. But if it could stay here, it's good. Then we could get this swing, you know, into the election, and then post-election, all hell can break loose, after that. So, all right, guys, I'm ending it. Thanks again.